Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Let's begin the March 19th State Parks Board meeting. Do a call to order, which I've just done. So please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And big salute to what I think is the superstition in that photo. Was I right?
There it is.
Buckskin.
Oh, buckskin, okay. The beauty of Arizona. Pamela, would you do the roll call, please?
Yes, John Sefton,
Present.
Dale Larson,
Here.
Robin Sayed,
Here.
Sarah King. Here. Terry Palmberg.
Here.
We have a quorum. So as we do with all of our meetings, we have the mission statement I'll read. As board members, we are gathered today to be stewards and voice of the Arizona State Parks and its mission statement to connect people to the outdoors and history of Arizona to build a lifetime of memories. With that, agenda item number 1, the approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 2 is the election of the 2025 board chair and vice chair. Here we go again. It's already this time of year. Feels like just yesterday.
We're all young whippersnappers.
Do we have any
I
discussion?
nominate John Sefton to be the 2026 chair.
I will honorably accept that.
Okay.
If there's a second.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second and a willing.
Yes, signal lost.
I've lost my GPS signal.
The meeting's gonna be off the
The
rails.
meeting's gonna be off the rails. We have a motion and a second, so do we have? Make a vote, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Next item is the vice chair.
Mr. Chairman.
I move to approve Dale Larson
We're well
as
coordinated
vice
here.
chair of the Arizona State Parks Board.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Shall we, do we have a willing participant?
Yes, I guess so.
With confidence, gentlemen.
With confidence. We will do our very best. So with that, all in favor of Dale Larson as vice chair?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. There we go. Item number 3, consideration of the consent agenda. See what on this motion. I will be abstaining from this call because of the City of Chandler correlation of a grant. And so with that, do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
Mr. Chairman, before we do that, there are just a couple of items I wanted to point out just for the positivity of what this recommendation might have. I just wanted to, for the record, if you don't mind,
Absolutely,
before
sir.
the motion.
Floor is yours.
I was very impressed with the fact that Desert Botanical Gardens is installing a deaf inclusive ranger training and program development. I think it's one of the most inclusive experiences. I'm glad to see DBG going into that area to create an equality in terms of awareness for people that are hearing impaired with that, and I just wanted to point them out. Also wanted to point out the City of Apache Junction's allocation for having signage for responsible recreation. The way I read it in the report is that in their trail system, they are having a series of signage that really enforces the notion of being safe on the trails and taking good care of the trails, leaving no trace on the trails. And I think that's just such an excellent area. I also wanted to mention for Even though our former board member Jeff Buchanan is no longer with us, I wanted to just point out that the Williams Police Department has an excellent grant allocation on the terms of the OHV education, enforcement, and outreach. That's huge concern of OHV credibility out on our trails. The fact that Williams is doing that, I thought was an excellent thing. And the last one I wanted to point out, actually two more. The Gadsden Elementary School District and rural San Luis, Yuma County. The fact that they are having 2 soccer fields, even though, and the report demonstrated this, they have a 40% adult obesity rate in San Luis. So having this recreational amenity in terms of soccer particularly, which is so popular in that area, between Yuma area, but San Luis. And then last but not least, and I've been practicing this since I saw it the other day, the Dishibuko. Is that correct? Dishibuko? Is that about as
close as I got.
Yeah.
that's as close as you got, okay. But this is in the Apache area. It means Red Clay Valley. This is the area where a meteorite crashed into that community back in 2016. And they are having their first community baseball field funded through LWCF. And again, Bob, the reason I wanted to mention this is because I think this is either the second or third tribe in Arizona that is participating in the LWCF program, which I think is a real credit to you, your staff, and also, in this case, the Fort White Apache tribe for being able to be trustworthy enough to think that this is a good thing for them. So I just wanted to point those out, Mr. Chairman.
Those are amazing, Mr. Vice Chair. Thank you for pulling those out. Any other further discussion? I did want to recognize.
I would just like to recognize the staff for all their work and consideration of putting these all together. It's an excellent job. Thank you so
And
much.
what was the total amount? Did we get it?
8.9 million.
8.9 million in discussion. There were a couple of items that I wanted, like you did a much more thorough job. I wanted to apologize to Pine Top Lakeside for the pickleball courts that they're gonna get. So, for those that know, pickleball changes everything. So I love the quaint quiet of Pine Top Lakeside. So for those, yes, we're taking care of the enthusiasm over there, but congratulations to them for their pickleball courts. And then one of the programs that stood out to me too were the Advocates for Snake Preservation.
Yes.
And we probably don't do enough praising of our snakes in our state, but they do a fabulous job from an education standpoint, and to be able to help with that program, I thought was pretty phenomenal. So, nearly $9 million. As Dale mentioned, the amount of staff work that goes into this over the past quarter has been tremendous, and thank you for your leadership and the facilitation. I can personally highlight Jeff back there for the patience and the wisdom that is shared processing these types of applications and getting them across the finish line. So with that, any further discussion? I have a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the consent agenda items 3A through 3J as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and John Sefton abstaining. All those in favor?
Have to be roll call.
A roll call, yeah, that's right.
Dale Larson,
Yes.
Robin Sayed,
Yes.
Sarah King,
Yes.
Terry Palmberg,
Yes.
and John Sefton abstains.
Thank you so much, and great work, everyone. So then we jump all the way to item 4. This is a possible action for the Arizona Dude Ranch Heritage Trail application. Presenter, Bill Collins, National Register of Historic Places Program Coordinator. Bill, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Stagecoach Trails Guest Ranch is a family-owned, all-inclusive dude ranch in the Mojave Desert of northwest Arizona. It is designed to resemble a 19th century frontier town and is notable for being completely handicap accessible, offering a barrier-free experience for visitors with special needs. Stagecoach Trails Guest Ranch is located in a secluded wilderness area bordering over 360,000 acres of federal land. It is northeast of Lake Havasu City and only about 2 hours from both Las Vegas and the Grand Canyon Select Rim. Stagecoach Trails offers themed rooms like the Rodeo, Outlaw, and Navajo, and authentic Pioneer wagons equipped with modern amenities like electricity and gas and air conditioning. The all-inclusive packages include 3 home-cooked meals daily, often served buffet style with a focus on Old West comfort foods. Activities include horseback riding with programs catering to all levels, from slow scenic walks to roping for experienced riders. Guests can participate in cowboy action shooting, archery, wagon rides, and roping demonstrations. And they can relax in the heated pool and hot tub, and enjoy nightly campfires and billiards. Add ATV rentals, Humvee rides to old gold mines, and Fat Tire mountain biking, and guests have a full Western recreational experience. The application for Stagecoach Trails Guest Ranch to the Dude Ranch Heritage Trail Program indicates the program meets the program requirements. Mr. Chair, I believe the applicant may be on the line, if you have questions for him.
Very good, thank you, Bill. Any questions concerning the application to the program?
Mr. Chairman, I was just wondering how many dude ranches now are part of this Heritage Trail application? I know a couple of years ago, this first started, right, with the budget, so I'm just curious, what number are we up to? Since years ago, it was like 19 or 20 or 21. What's the number now?
There are 8 actually designated. There are in the Dude Ranch, Arizona Dude Ranch Association, about a dozen members, and they were the main backers for creating the Heritage Trail program in the first place. Not all dude ranches that may qualify are part of that association, so my estimate from my basic research is there's a little over 20 dude ranches that could potentially qualify for the program. This would be the 9th.
The ninth of it. And there's no problem with capacity, right? I mean, if all 20 have.
No, I would hope all of them eventually do.
Okay, thank you. He's gonna get a plaque.
And so with that, do we have a motion?
So moved. What's on the screen?
Yeah.
Do I need to read it?
Yeah.
Okay, I move that the Arizona State Parks Board approve the Arizona Dude Ranch Heritage Trail application form from Stagecoach Trails Guest Ranch, 19,985 Dock Holiday Road, Yukon, and that the board officially designates this guest ranch in the Arizona Dude Ranch Heritage Trail Program.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 And motion passes.
Someone looks at me, I'm good.
Moving on to item number 5, funding for Arizona Site Steward Coordinator. The president and board members of the Arizona Site Stewards Foundation will address the Parks Board to explain the situation and express their concern for and support of the program. We have presenters Nicole Armstrong Best, president of the Arizona Site Steward Foundation. Nicole.
Good morning, everyone. Can I give you a handout?
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I'm sorry, guys, I normally don't read my notes, but I don't want to miss anything today, so I'm gonna read it, okay? Yay, it works. Great, so first off, I wanna thank you guys for taking the time to listen to us, and I hope that we can make a difference in this conversation. My name is Nicole Armstrong Best, and I am representing the Arizona Arizona Site Steward Program Foundation, right? The foundation was created in 2017 as a 501c3 support organization for the Arizona Site Steward Program. This is a program that harnesses the time and talents of volunteers to visit historical and archaeological sites on public lands in Arizona and report any damage or vandalism to the landowners. Okay? The foundation board members represent all levels of interested parties within the program and includes the Site Steward Program Coordinator and a representative from SHPO, which is the State Historic Preservation Office, which is the support organization to the program. I wanted to give you a quick overview of our board members. My professional position is the director of the Sitavaki Museum and the City Archaeology Office in the city of Phoenix, which means I'm also have a land manager's hat in the program as well, okay? But today I'm representing the foundation as the chair. But as you can see, we have many people involved here, and we have professional representation from the archaeological community, from land manager agencies, including tribal representation. And I do want to point out that Jill McCormick is a professor, but she's also the archaeologist representing the Quechan tribe in the Yuma region. Okay. We have Margaret is a retired Forest Service archaeologist. We have lots of great representation here. We have an IT specialist, Lyle, who's on our board as well. He's in the room. Kent Ennis is a past CFO of Arizona State Parks, who's our treasurer. So a lot of good representation, a lot of good knowledge on our board. And I do know that we have a lot of site stewards in the room here to support us, and I believe there's a lot of people also watching and on the line. And I want to thank them for giving time to support this program. So just a quick recap of the Site Steward program, for those who don't know. It was created in 1986 by Governor Bruce Babbitt. 1986, 40 years, okay? It was unique at the time, and it is still a model for other state programs today, because it took a statewide approach to cultural and historical presentation and preservation, right? That is, public lands have many owners or managers, right? So national parks, Bureau of Land Management, Bureau of Reclamation, NPS, Forest Service, municipalities, and cities, right? States, all levels. And they include sites that encompass history of this state, which is the important piece here, this state's history, right? Therefore, they should be managed and protected in the same way across jurisdictions, right? To have consistency across jurisdictions. And that is what this program does. It also brings land managers together to share information and best practices across these artificial boundaries that, of course, the original inhabitants of the state of Arizona knew nothing about, right? Okay, based upon the Arizona State Parks and Trails mission, then and now, I believe, to connect people with the outdoors and history of Arizona to build a lifetime of memories, we believe the Site Steward program aligns with this mission and values. The program, from its inception, has only had one paid employee. Actually, it started with a volunteer, and then within, I think, a couple of years, they hired someone, but one paid employee that leverages the time and talents of hundreds of volunteers across the state, from people in St. George, Utah, who monitor into Arizona to monitor the sites above, north of the Grand Canyon, to Kingman and Lake Havasu on the west coast of Arizona, to St. John's and Safford on the east coast, down to Ajo and Green Valley in the south. So we're across the state. The program currently has 18 land managers and 500 active site stewards, growing from originally 50 stewards monitoring 200 sites. And we still only have one paid employee. Okay? And previously noted, SHPO is the support agency for the program. So we are the foundation, we are not the program. We are the private 501c3. And this is the work that we have been doing since 2017. So we always felt that the program was underfunded. For those of you all who don't know, I used to work for State Parks and I used to run this program previously, so that's why I have deep knowledge of the program. In the Great Recession, they needed to close the program down. So I know what it takes to run this program with very little money. So me and some other site stewards created the nonprofit so that we could leverage private dollars to come and support the program, because we believe in it that strongly, right? So we have supported the creation of the online training program, which is a very robust program that every site steward in every region takes, so that we have that consistency in training and understanding, right? We supported the last 3 statewide conferences. The last one was upwards of $30,000 to support that for the stewards. So, and we also support regional meetings. We just had the Three Rivers meeting, which I hosted it at the museum. So it was free, but sometimes we have to pay for the locations that the regional meetings and trainings are held at, right? Which the foundation does. And then we also cover all volunteer recognition items, t-shirts and badges and recognition stuff, okay? And we right now also have supported the maintenance of the current database that the program uses. Wanted to give you guys just a little idea of the impact of the program, and you do have the annual report in front of you. Just a few things to note here. Using the current value of volunteer time, which is currently $33.49 per hour, last year the stewards donated the equivalent of over $100 million. Wow. Right? That is time that none of the land managers could afford to pay for employees to have eyes on those resources. None of us. I can attest to that, right? Please note the average age of the stewards. This program keeps retirees physically active and deeply committed to their local communities. Again, connecting with the state parks mission, right? 84 damage reports in just 1 year. So this allows land managers to focus and target the work that they need to do, right? So again, saving taxpayers' dollars because land managers are now being informed and can go out and deal with the situation, very targeted. Okay. I wanted to give you one example. So Maricopa County Parks, I think it's Maricopa County Parks, right, Estrella Mountain, does not have an archaeologist on staff. So this is an example of a report on graffiti on the petroglyph boulder in Estrella Mountain Park. So since they don't have an archaeologist, and there's differences in how you remove graffiti from petroglyph boulders than just regular rock, but the city of Phoenix happens to have a city archaeologist, and we also have a cultural resource ranger who does that work. So we partnered and we shared resources, and we did a training with the site stewards in that region, with Maricopa County Park staff, with Brian Krause, our cultural resource ranger, trained everyone, and now they can do this work. Right? Just an example of power of this program. Right? As I said, we just hosted the Three River Regions, which is just one region that we have in the program. And I wanted to put this up just because I want to show you the longevity of the people in the program. Look at this, people who've been volunteering for 25 plus years. Okay? But also please note how many people we have coming in. So this is an active, robust volunteer program. Dale can talk about, if you have only people staying, no new people coming in. We have new people coming in. In fact, we have so many people who want to come in and join the program that the one state coordinator cannot keep up with it. This is why we don't advertise the program. People find it anyway. And if we had more support, we could incorporate more people to support the program. So really what this means is that there's many citizens of the state of Arizona who care about these resources and want to be part of the solution for their protection and preservation. Right? So let's talk a little bit about the sites that are monitored. So sites with high visitation, Sedona is being hit really, really bad. And keep in mind, vandalism takes many forms. This is just access and not understanding and walking on things. And it's not, targeted, I'm digging something up because I want to sell it on eBay. Although we still actually have some of that. But this is more what we have, right? Sites at high risk of environmental or human impacts. I mean, look at this. So this is a pretty old picture, I will say, and this has been cleaned up, but this is in Beverly Canyon in South Mountain. In South Mountain, you can access a lot of the petroglyph areas, and this is what happened. That's why the city of Phoenix is a partner in this program, because we have eyes on these areas, right? Let's talk about state parks. We monitor, or the program monitors, Lyman Lake. So we have room blocks at Lyman Lake, petroglyph area in Lyman Lake, right? Romero Ruin and Catalina State Park. Malawi, of course, the whole place is a site. Parks is in the business of preserving ranching history, right? Rocking River Ranch, Canale Ranch House at Oracle, the beautiful ranch house at San Rafael. Breaks my heart every day that people can't see that beautiful ranch house, right? So it's not just archaeological resources here, it's historical resources. And we monitor those, we take care of those. Things like Tonto Bridge Lodge, Tombstone Courthouse, Parks is in the business of preserving history, right? As I said, this is our 40th anniversary, 1986 to 2026. And I wish I was here today just to ask you guys to be involved in all that celebration. Unfortunately, that's not why I'm here. Okay? One last thing to note. Look at the trail usage. It's growing and growing and growing. I do want to point you guys to the note at the top. The 2023 SCORE, Statewide Comprehensive Outdoor Recreation Plan. See, I know it. Protection of natural and cultural resources, both those open to the public and those that are not, are ranked as the number 2 funding priority. Page 59. Okay? People care about protecting these sites, whether they can see them or not. Okay? So, why am I here? Why are all these people here to support this? Because we're in a crisis. So as you guys all know, federal funding has been cut. So we have less federal employees on the land right now, less than we ever had. And they always were slim, right, to cover the many, many acres that they have to cover. And it's even worse now. They used to fund us. They used to fund this position in various ways, right? With grants and call them contracts. So previously, Bureau of Reclamation gave $50,000 for 5 years. Forest Service, $50,000 for 5 years. Department of Defense, because we monitor Luke and some other places, right? $50,000 over 5 years. All of that money's gone. Right now, the only current funding is from the BLM, and it funds a AmeriCorps member to support the program coordinator for the admin work. That's it. Okay. And now, unfortunately, state funding for the one paid state employee will be canceled at the end of this fiscal year. That is why we are here. So, what does that look like? The program coordinator is currently being paid from a fund that I agree is not appropriate, okay? But that doesn't mean the state should not continue to fund it. So, as I've said, we strongly believe that the program is most effective when it is incorporated into state government. The structure is here. I mean, we have examples of other states that have like a nonprofit model. It is not as robust. It does not cover as much of the state as this program does. We also have other examples of other states that have it in state statute and supported by the state. And they have, I think it's Nevada or Utah. Utah that has 4 employees doing this work. So we believe strongly it needs to stay in the state funded, with us, of course, helping with private dollars, okay? And then whenever the federal situation changes, hopefully we can get some funding back to assist with that. But right now we feel it needs to be in the state. So what is the cost of this program? After everything I've said, what do you think? You guys just gave away nearly $9 million. Nearly $9 million. $150,000 annually. That's it. For the program coordinator's salary, benefits, and then some IT support for the database that we have, and of course the SHPO supervision support, $150,000. Okay. And as I said, we support the program to the tune of about $30,000-$40,000 a year. So we have private dollars helping support this as well. So what are we asking for today? We're asking for you guys to advocate for the use of some of the dollars that you guys, I think, have control of. I don't know for sure. Heritage Fund, because of course this is a program that preserves heritage, right? Maybe OHV funds, because I will tell you that OHV community is impacting sites regularly, right? And so we need to really be robust in communicating with our community. And I know there was some talk about an education program, but we're out there on the land too, our site stewards, so maybe OHV funds could be used. These are non-general fund, non-taxpayer funds, right? So it shouldn't impact the state budget. Can we advocate with the governor's office? I don't know what level would have to happen here to support this program starting July 1. So I just want to also note that you guys just gave out this money, right? So through this agency, the state believes that there's clearly value in cross-jurisdictional recreational support, right? So we don't see that there should be any difference for cross-jurisdictional historic and archaeological preservation support, right? It's kind of our position here. I do want to point out on the second bullet point here, the site steward hours have been used, I know, for at least 20 years, because I've been involved that long, as an in-kind match to the National Historic Preservation Act funding. What does that mean? That means that through the National Historic Preservation Act, the feds give money to each state for their SHPOs, right, for their state historic preservation offices. I believe, and you guys can check with Catherine Leonard, it's about $1 million a year that comes in. The state is supposed to match, I believe it's 40%, so $400,000. How have they been matching that money? With the program coordinator, maybe another position, I believe, and site steward hours in kind. So we have saved the state, I don't know how much actual dollars, over 20 years with the site steward hours. These people's work, time, energy, sweat. And now to say that we won't fund the position, it's just mind-blowing to me, okay? And just this last point here, there has been a 40-year investment in the volunteer infrastructure, federal compliance, and on-the-ground oversight, and to lose it for want of $150,000. So I hope that we've articulated the reasons to continue to support this program and that you will help us in this advocacy. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, very informative. I understand that I have authority to basically listen to the call to public at this point. So if we could have Lyle Tanner. And I know typically with our public meetings, we put a time limit.
Yeah, I think I'm at 2 minutes here, so it should be good. Thank you for allowing me the time to address the board. My name's Lyle Tanner. I'm an IT professional, and I'm also serve on the board of directors for the Arizona Site Steward Program Foundation, mostly in the capacity of supporting our technology needs, but also developing educational content, training, and then the infrastructure needed to distribute that content and that training, including educational videos and our new online training program. As a lifetime resident of Arizona, having originally grown up on the Navajo Indian Reservation, later moving to Flagstaff, and now of course in the Phoenix area, then our state history is very important to me as an outdoorsman. And the mission of Arizona State Parks is clear: to connect people with the outdoors and the history of Arizona to build a lifetime of memories. And that certainly is what I have experienced as part of this program. There's no initiative that embodies this mission more profoundly than the Arizona State Steward Program. For nearly 40 years, the program has deployed dedicated volunteers to actively protect over 2,400 vulnerable archaeological, historical, and paleontological sites across the state. They don't just teach us about our history, they are the frontline defenders ensuring that our history survives. But preserving this history is not free. Fully funding the program is absolutely vital. The resources required for rigorous volunteer training, maintaining secure databases, and managing the sheer logistics of statewide operations for 700 volunteers are immense. These sites represent the direct ancestral heritage of 22 tribal nations and irreplaceable pieces of our Arizona history. Without consistent state and federal funding, we leave these locations completely exposed to vandalism, looting, and permanent destruction. So some of you might be asking, okay, well why does this need to be part of Arizona State Parks? Couldn't a private nonprofit just take this over? Resoundingly, we don't think that will work. While our nonprofit partners and the Arizona State Steward Program Foundation is an incredible funding and education arm, we can't replace the legal and operational authority that the state has. We're dealing with highly sensitive data, controlled unclassified information. To protect these sites from looters, their exact location and coordinates are shielded under federal law. Handing a master map of Arizona's most vulnerable cultural sites to a nonprofit or an NGO would be irresponsible and create security risks. Furthermore, when a site is looted, it becomes an active federal or state crime scene. Arizona State Parks has the intergovernmental authority to work directly with law enforcement, manage strict legal chain of custody protocols, and conduct formalized government-to-government consultations with sovereign tribal nations. A private nonprofit or NGO simply lacks that jurisdiction, the liability protections, and the legal mandate to execute those duties. So closing the Arizona Site Steward Program must remain anchored within Arizona State Parks. Protecting our state's most precious historical assets requires more than just our good intentions. It requires the full weight of Arizona State Parks. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Ennis.
My name is Kent Ennis. Nicole asked if I would say a few words. I'm not prepared, so this is impromptu. My background, I left state parks over 10 years ago. I was one of the 2 deputy directors and I guess CFO during the chaos of the great financial crisis. And that's when I came in, and I've been in state government for quite a long time. I spent 11 years at the Joint Legislative Budget Committee as their senior economist, and then I went off into engineering for 6 years, and then I got tired of the grind of billable hours, and I was invited to come back, of all places, to the Department of Commerce, where within a year they somehow made me deputy director. And then the governor changed, and I said, wait a minute, I'm not political, but the governor changed. And just as the crisis was getting full speed, the then director of Arizona State Parks and I had worked together at JLBC, and so they needed someone at that time, and so I came in for that. And for those of you who went through that, you know that you don't ever want to go through that again. So we were shutting down the Heritage Fund. And so, Bob, if we landed the Site Stewards Program on the wrong funding source, it was chaos then, and that's where it was, and that's, I guess, where it stayed in the State Lake Improvement Fund, and that's rightfully getting criticism. And among the other reasons you may want to have a new home for it, that's one of them, because but as Nicole said, we believe there are other funds that might fund this operation, which is really not that expensive in the grand scheme of things. We were able to keep it going, and I'm glad that you've been able to keep it going all these years, and we're just asking for some type of help in doing that, because as we all know, government moves at a snail's pace, so June 30th is just around the corner as things go. So we have a request, open-ended request to keep it going, but to cast us adrift on June 30th would really be difficult, considering I don't know how it stands inside the shop, your shop, but it has a big support out in the world, and so maybe more so than you think, but maybe Nicole explained that to you. So that's all I wanted to say. If not you, we need some ideas on how it can go on, and maybe that requires the governor's office. That's all.
Thank you, sir. And our final public request was Mr. Pinkowski.
Good morning. My name is Greg Pinkowski. I'm one of the 25-year-old site stewards, official site stewards you saw on the board. I'm a native of Arizona. I was born at St. Joe's Hospital. I later became an art supervisor at the same hospital years ago. My dad introduced me to all these cultural sites, Tuesday Good, Walnut Canyon, all the state parks and stuff. So I grew up loving all this cultural stuff, historical and prehistorical sites. Fortunately, my house is about a half a mile from a really important site here in Phoenix, Arizona. It's called Fortified Hills on Shaw Butte. They've explained why the site's important. I'll explain. I was personally involved with catching vandals in the act of vandalizing the site. The site is a 800-year-old Hohokam site. It's called Shaw Butte. It's got rocks up there that line up in circles with solstices, equinoxes, and what have you. It's like Stonehenge up there. So one night, 2004, I was looking outside my house at the hill, fire on top of the hill. As a trained site steward, I called 911. I called 911. And I said, my name is Greg Pinkowski. I'm an Arizona site steward. Site 8383 is the site. They have all this stuff monitored, and the state and the police and law enforcement, which is Partners in Protection, which is what we do. I called them, 911, site 383 Shaw Butte. Within 10 minutes, a police chopper was there, and a police unit was there, and a fire truck was there. And there's about 10 kids up there drinking beer, setting fires. On top of this shelter, it's a rock shelter. It's very important for observatory. Light comes through some of the rocks that was hand built 800 years ago. Creates a diamond shape during the summertime, during the equinox, and it creates so it can monitor seasons for planting and so forth in the valley. They were standing on top of that rock shelter. It could collapse. The chopper was flying around. Remove yourself from the site. You are on the protected archaeological site. The kids took their beer and they put out the fire. They scampered like cockroaches off the hill. And the police officer, it was getting dark. I said, would you like to go up there and see the site? The police officer said, well, why don't you wait till tomorrow morning if we can see what's going on. So I called my regional coordinator, Rose Werner was her name. And I gave her all the details. The next morning I went up with tape, taped it off, as you're supposed to at a crime scene. And I took her up there and showed her the burn unit, the burn spots, the beer cans, all that stuff. And it's still protected. It was a site that was also surveyed by Todd Bostwick, who was the head archaeologist here in Phoenix. He surveyed that, he studied all this stuff. He caught past vandalism too. So it's a really important site. And I was able to help protect that 800-year-old site. Rose Mofford gave me the New Site Steward of the Year award that year. So I guess it's pretty rare you catch people, but it can be done. And that's what all site stewards do, not just prehistoric, but historical sites. They were the pioneers coming out here, the cavalry with the Indian Wars and what have you. All this stuff is monitored. Very important. It's close to my heart. Thank you.
Thank you all. Very, very informative. Thank you for your passion and your commitment to this. We don't have an action item on this, correct? So the information is very much appreciated. On a personal note, my first experience with the site stewards was 1999 when I was director up in Prescott Valley. So very important sites up in that area, and certainly recognize the volunteerism and the important work that you guys are doing. The structure and the connection and the history alone here at state parks and the state in general. Any comments or questions?
Mr. Chair, thank you. I think I'll make some clarifying comments that I think you're talking about Sean Hammond's position. It is not going away. I don't understand where that miscommunication came from, but it is a very valuable program. But to go with a little bit of the history, when the Trump administration took over, all federal grants, as you all know, were frozen, and there was months and months and months of uncertainty for not just the Historic Preservation Fund, but we're talking Land and Water Conservation Fund, all of them. And so we worked with the governor's office to, not knowing whether we were going to get that funding, well, what are we going to do with all of our people? And so we had a plan in place with some leftover revenue that was a temporary fix. So really, this is really a big budget problem that goes along not just in the Site Steward program, but SHPO, as well as the agency. So just to keep that in mind. But over the course of our budgets, what we did was, there's provisions in there that said if federal funding is not awarded, you can use these other funds to backfill that program. However, currently the entire SHPO program is about $1.4 million. 2/3 of that, well, I'm going to say the Site Steward program provides 2/3 of our match to that federal program, so it's more than half. But we were not granted authority for the entire $1.4 million. I think the first year, Kevin, it was about $800,000. And then, so that led us to go, well, we're not going to make it if we don't have that spending authority, as you well know. We have to get the authority to spend that. So we had to look at what those programs were, and one of them was the Site Steward program. It's not statutorily mandated the SHPO has to do it. So one of the things we looked at was, well, to keep this program afloat, what could we do? And so we had contingency plans in place, all for naught because the federal funding came forward. And what happened was, it seems like this last budget year, so that was 2 years ago, now this current budget year, we still have the authority to change fund sources. It's still not the entire $1.4 million. So as long as the federal funding keeps coming, we're fine. We're going to be just fine. But you look at some of the bigger issues with the Site Steward program is the volunteers are doing wonderful work. If you don't have enforcement on the ground, or you don't have resources for the land management agencies where you don't have law enforcement, like BLM has 2 LEOs the entire state. It makes it hard to enforce. But part of, sort of a long-winded way back, is part of what we're doing with the off-highway vehicle funds, and we have done mitigation projects, as you all know, you've approved those, is to protect those sites then. Problem is the damage may have occurred, but I think we're getting to a point to be more proactive with OHV funds instead of waiting for damage, vandalism, or destruction. Could we get out ahead of those? And that's sort of where we're starting to move that program along the way. So it's a great program. It really is. It's what we need is the support under the dome and among the land management agencies, and start talking to them about what can this program do for them. And every time, everyone that I've talked to has come back to is, well, Bob, I don't have anybody that can go out on the ground. I have to do these other things. So I think it's looking at the entire program a little bit more holistically, meeting with the land management agencies. But I also wanted to say that Catherine was supposed to be here, but she got really ill, so she's been out all week. So we're hoping and praying she gets better. But and we can come back and talk a little bit more. But one of the goals that we set as our executive team is we have to find a more sustainable, more secure funding source for the State Historic Preservation Office and all of their programs. Costs keep going up, salaries keep going up, the money isn't going as far. It's the same problems that we're running into within the entire agency. But I think we need to sit down with you guys as the foundation. What are some of the other things that we can do to not just for the Site Steward program, but for SHPO as a whole? and keep it going. And so Catherine's gonna lead that group. So I'm assuming she's gonna, if she hasn't already, to reach out to you all and start coming up with some ideas. General fund is probably not a smart way to go. Heritage funds, it's hit or miss, and even then, we can't even use them for people anymore. They're entirely grants, as you all know. And so the playing field's changed a little bit, but it doesn't mean the game's over. I think we just have to get a little more proactive in how we can make sure that we can get as secure as we can. But I think, as you guys know, with that federal funding, that was scary. That was very scary for the entire agency. But it's year to year, it seems like. But we've got contingency plans in place that will help us along the way. So I hope that helps a little bit. Sean's position will be here come July 1. But we'll keep you all posted and certainly could use your help. And the governor's office has been very supportive of us, but we still have to work with the legislature as well on the budget thing. So anyway, I hope that puts some worries to rest, but we're not done yet. We still have a lot of work to do, as you said, and it's an incredible program. But I'll also help any way I can to work with the land management agencies to figure out how you guys, we have agreements with all of them, and so it allows the site stewards to go out and monitor. But then what happens when something happens? That's, I think, where the agency can come and help with, like, OHV funds, like I mentioned. So we have a lot of work to do still.
It was an excellent presentation. Are there other organizations that you would suggest that they approach to hit their boards for a monthly meeting so we get some energy going behind this effort? I'll be talking to my next door neighbor senator. I don't, you know.
Well, we would really like to get, it in statute so that it's protected and funded, statute and funding. But that's a long process, of course, but we would be happy to start that process. It's long overdue. And we see the results of that in some of the other states that do have it in statute, right? So we're happy to go down that road and reach out to our legislators and start talking to see if anyone would be willing to sponsor a bill to start that process.
Mr. Chairman, first of all, thank you for coming. I mean, the choir is here. I mean, there's not the good guys, bad guys. We're all the good guys on this, and we believe 100%. And thank you so very much for your service. I hike Shaw Butte regularly, so I know exactly what you're talking about. Nicole knows my relationship with Todd Bostwick and the whole city of Phoenix with all the archaeological relationship. I wish we were like Utah. I wish we could have that kind of support at the legislature that Utah has with it. You, Nicole, mentioned advocacy. As a board, we do not have any financial power or authority. That was taken away back in those dark days that you were describing earlier when you were here with state parks on it. However, to become more politically active and to be talking to the senators and be talking to the House of Representative people that know your area, you're statewide. You aren't just Maricopa County, you are statewide. And I think the state legislature, and I know you mentioned this, Brittany, as well, state parks is well received by the state. SHPO came in at the last minute last year. I mean, it was gone as far as all of the areas, and then boom, it came back just like that. So there's adrenaline, there's support, but you need to make sure that you are also contacting your state legislators, letting them know about the volunteerism, letting them know about the opportunities to be able to secure more formal financing throughout the time with it. We can do that individually as well, but it's still going to be through the governor and the state legislature. So become active on that area. Let them know. They're not going to argue the point that this isn't necessary for Arizona. What's the tourism for Arizona in our state parks? $5 billion. I mean, you generate incredible amounts of money that goes towards the state economy, and that's where the argument That's where the argument really helps out, so.
And we are going to start doing that. We wanted to come to you guys first.
Good.
See where the support is. And then, yes, we have stewards across the state who I know will be happy. You see the turnout we have here, and I don't know how many people are watching and on the line, but they will be happy to go talk to the legislators about this. And so we will do that. We wanted to come to you guys first.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's great. Well, what a perfect transition to item number 6, which is our legislative update from Ms. Brittany. Again, thank you all for being here and for this wonderful presentation.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
And if everybody wants to split, we'll take a moment instead of getting up during Brittany's, unless you want to stay for her presentation.
Stay for Brittany's presentation.
Okay, fine. You're held captive now.
You can stand anywhere.
You're fine.
Okay,
You're
okay.
You're good to stand.
I just wanna put out there that my voice has been in and out, so if you can't hear me, just let me know. But good morning to the board. My name is Brittany Hudson. I'm the Chief Legislative Liaison for the State Parks and Trails Agency. All of the bills, I know we haven't met in a little bit, but all of the bills are in your packet. If people on the phone or in the audience wanna know more about these bills, if you go on the website, you can see them. You can click on each link and it'll pull up the legislation. I will also be here after if you have any questions on how to get that information. You can definitely ask me. But I'm gonna go through some of the bills that we are watching that may affect our agency and just kind of go briefly summarize them and tell you where they are in the process. And then if you have any questions, you are free to ask. So I know I don't have a PowerPoint, but I'm gonna be as succinct as I can. There's one, House Bill 2134. It's critical infrastructure, and this prohibits any software produced from a Chinese company from being used for critical communication and infrastructure in the state. This did pass out of the House, 37-19, and it's moved to the Senate, and it has also passed Senate committee. So once it passes out the House, it moves to the Senate, does the same thing at the Senate, and then goes to the governor's office. So this one is moving. And then it mandates each government entity to let the Arizona Corporation Commission know if they have any equipment or any operating system from a Chinese company by March 2027.
Brittany, just, Mr. Chairman, that's why the Taiwanese industry that's coming to Arizona is so critical, because then we don't have to worry at all about the China influence and we can go completely to Taiwan. So from a global perspective, the more support that we can have for the Taiwanese and their microchips and how that relates to that, the better that our state's going to be.
Absolutely, thank you for that. The next one is we've been watching very closely. We have two that we've been watching closely that will affect us, our revenue sources. So House Bill 2165, Veteran State Park Fees Exemption. So this exempts veterans and members of the U.S. military, the National Guard, and the Reserve from all admission fees at all Arizona state parks. It also exempts passengers in the same vehicle as a veteran or a member of the U.S. military, National Guard, or Reserve. Yes, and that passed out of the House unanimously and has moved over to the Senate, and it's been assigned to two committees over at the Senate, so Senate Government and Senate Appropriations. So I have been going in and testifying on those just to let them know how Arizona State Parks and Trails works, that we already give discounts to veterans and military and things like that. So we've been trying our best to work through this one, but it is moving. Governor's office does know about this one as well.
Mr. Chairman and Kevin, I know you're going to be doing your report. What's potentially the financial impact of all these freebies, but this particular one?
Kevin, I don't know if you want to give that.
It's really
broad.
unknown.
Yeah.
They're telling us that the population of that group is about 400,000 in the state of Arizona. So if you take 10% of it and you say there's 40,000 and you let them all in, and if they're all currently paying half, I mean, it's a significant amount of money. It could be in the millions of dollars. I think we've looked historically over the last several years, we've had about 40,000 people attending day use parks at at least a discount. I don't know how many of them we offer a 100% free entry for a disabled veteran, but we've had about 40,000 a year for the last 3 years that have been coming and that have been getting a 50% discount. So if it's more than that, it's hard to say on a sliding scale between 40,000 and 400,000 what will happen. It could stay the same, but if additional attention's drawn to it and more people want to come and enjoy, it could be a significant reduction in the amount of revenue that we're taking in.
In your testimony, are you mentioning the financial figure that needs to be restored somehow, some other
Yes,
some
so
other format?
there is a fiscal note out at the legislature from the governor's office, strategic planning and budgeting team, and also joint legislative budgeting committee. So there's a fiscal note for this one. There's also another one coming up. And I have said in committee, they've asked how much money will we forego, and I have said the same thing as Kevin. He's given me some of the figures. So that this has been in testimony, and I have sent all information to members and legislators as well as their staff.
So I don't have that in front of me, but
Right.
we did provide them a sliding scale. We said if 10% of the 400,000, it will equal this. If it's 20%, 30%, 40%. I mean, at some point, it's so geometrically big that it's ridiculous. Those will never happen, but we have been showing them the financial impact.
And 400,000, as Kevin was mentioning, are 400,000 veterans that are in Arizona. So we don't have the number of U.S. military, however many is in the National Guard, et cetera.
Is it just admission fees? It's not rental of facilities or buildings or extra special fees associated with any program? It's just at the gate costs?
Just use.
I mean, I like the idea, obviously our service folks should have that, but the fact that you could drive up in a van and have 10 people in that van and one service person and 9 others, that to me is just disingenuous. And I just think it needs to be better thought out, but with a 52-0 vote, this thing is gonna keep moving, so. I just hope they can restore the $1 million+ which obviously is gonna be lost.
And this bill has been assigned to Senate Government and Appropriations, which I assume they will be heard next week. Next week is the last week to hear bills in all committees, and then the week after is the last week for appropriations. So I assume that this is going to continue. So I will be in committee to testify again. So I'll keep going if there are no more questions. House Bill 2170, State Contracts, Foreign Adversary Prohibition. So this prohibits a company domiciled in the People's Republic of China from attempting to enter or entering into a contract with a state agency for goods and services. This one has passed the House 36-16 and has moved over to the Senate. So we thought that this one wasn't going to move, but it's been moving still. So we assume it's going to keep going. The next one, House Bill 2375, Housing, Zoning, Historic Neighborhoods. Quick summary, it includes historic areas in the list of exemptions from duplex, triplex, fourplex, and townhome, which is middle housing development requirements, along with some various other requirements. It prohibits middle housing from being developed on a site where a National Register of Historic Places structure was demolished without outline conditions. This has not passed the House yet. It still needs to, excuse me. It did pass the House 31-24 and it moved over to the Senate. I'm sorry. I just had that note right there. So that one is moving through. The next one, House Bill 2592, Artificial Intelligence, State Agencies. So this directs each budget unit, which is a state agency, to establish regulations for implementing an artificial intelligence system. So this is moving, it's passed the Senate, passed the House 31-22, passed the Senate committee 6-2, so that one's moving through. So AI is coming.
No, it's here.
Yeah, it's here, that's right.
It's here.
That's right.
You ready?
House Bill 2809, statewide cybersecurity encryption system requirements. So it outlines requirements and regulations for the adoption of a statewide cybersecurity system that utilizes post-quantum encryption for any state agencies that processes, stores, or transmits data. And this one passed the House 39-14. It's moved to the Senate, and it's also passed Senate Committee 6-3. So when I say that it's passed Senate and passed House at the end, I may have not had that on your sheet. This is all from like yesterday. So I just wanted to give you the most updated information.
So Brittany, items like that, clearly there's a financial investment necessary in PQE infrastructure. Again, is this new from an expense standpoint for the department? Or are these proposed to have funding sources?
That I am not sure of just yet. I don't think that will be a big issue for us, Bob. I'm not sure if that will be. I don't think that's going to be an issue. I think we're just, our IT chief of IT did let me know on this one. Just watch it. I don't think it has any implications.
Okay, thank you.
Senate Bill 1041, appropriation Arizona Trail Fund. So this comes up every year. This appropriates $100,000 from the general fund in 2027 to the Arizona Trail Fund. So this did pass the Senate and has moved over to the House. And this will probably be swept up in budget negotiations, which, you know, you get the big budget at the end of the session. Senate Bill 1043, state agencies payments cryptocurrency. This comes up every year. And it authorizes the state agency to enter into an agreement with the virtual currency service provider to accept virtual currency as a payment method for any amount due to the state agency or the state. So this passed the House, or this passed the Senate 16-11 and has moved over to the House. The next one, I have a few more to go and then I'll be out of your hair. Senate Bill 1050, this is the big one, Veterans Lifetime State Parks Pass. So this is another one that we're watching. And this requires the Arizona State Parks Board to issue a lifetime Veterans Pass that grants state park access for life at no charge to Arizona veterans who are retired or have a service-connected disability. And the same for if they come in a car, they have other passengers, it's gonna apply to other passengers that are in the same vehicle.
I have a question on that. Have other states done it? I mean, if I was a veteran, I think I'd just start a little side business and be a couple miles from a state park and load the car up and bring me on in for a fee.
I believe that there's I believe so. Federally, I think you can get in parks for free. Veterans can get in for free. They have free passes. I'm not exactly sure. I can't think off the top of my head right now any state ones that do it, but I know federally you can.
And if the states who do it receive general fund appropriations to
And we
cover it,
don't.
or they're funded
Which
by,
is fine.
they're funded by taxpayers, so.
And we haven't received any inclination that they're going to reimburse us or give us any funding for this. So that's something that we're watching very closely as well. So this one did pass the Senate 19-7, so there were some no votes on this one. There's also a fiscal note out on this one with the implications, but it is moving to the House, so.
And just for our audience, this budget that Bob is talking about, we have to raise all of our own money. There isn't state tax money that supports this at all. So when other states have tax support for their parks, they can do those restoration. We don't have that benefit at all here in Arizona, and that's been through since 2008, 2009, someplace in that. Yeah, you
2000.
you would know.
I think about 2010,
Ken,
they swept all the funds and took away the general funds, so that was part of the joy. And I think you've been there ever since.
Yeah. Just makes it harder.
Just a few more to go. So these are all IT kind of cybersecurity ones. Just wanting to throw these out there. Appropriation, Arizona Homeland Security, cybersecurity. So this is just appropriates $2.5 million from the general fund to the Department of Homeland Security for cybersecurity programs. So if we're just watching this one just in case it comes down the pipeline. Senate Bill 1308, this establishes the Foreign Adversary Fraud Office and Fund in the Attorney General's office. It creates the Foreign Adversary Technology Rip and Replace Fund overseen by the Department of Homeland Security. And it appropriates $500,000 from the general fund to this Foreign Adversary Fraud Fund. So this did pass the Senate 20-7, it's moved to the House, and it passed House committees 8-0 and 10-4 in approach. So this one's moving, but we're watching this one just in case. Senate Bill 1519, this is our usual off-highway vehicles weight bill, and it has changed a little bit to include a law enforcement fund. So this bill will increase the vehicles from 2,500 pounds to 3,500 pounds, the maximum unladen weight of an all-terrain vehicle. They must register for a resident or non-resident off-highway vehicle user. Is it indicia? Indicia, okay. And it sets the vehicle license tax for an ATV or OHV that has this unladen weight of more than 2,500 pounds, but less than 3,501 pounds at 50% of the statutorily prescribed VOT. And it allows this money to go into a new off-highway vehicle law enforcement fund. This one did pass the Senate 18-12 and has moved over to the House. And I think Bob will talk about just some OHV things in his director's report.
Yeah, and Brittany, the thing that we worked on was that still stays under the authority of the Arizona State Parks Board. So it's just a carve out that you can then grant funds to. So that's
Three more here. Senate Bill 1520, agencies immigration data sharing. So it mandates the state and any state agency have to share requested data by the U.S. government relating to unauthorized non-citizens or undocumented immigrants and visa overstays. This passed the Senate 16-12, and it also passed the House Committee 7-5. So this is a party line vote here, but we're watching it just in case. Senate Bill 1586, state agencies guidance website. So it directs each Arizona agency to create a dedicated page on their website and post all guidance that it creates, develops, or adopts, which we do anyway. But just wanted to keep this one in our purview. Pass the Senate 16-10, move to the House, and move to House Committee, or pass House Committee 4-3. Senate Bill 1665 is the last one, state agencies hiring practices. It directs each agency to adopt a standardized hiring process for all employee positions, including the weighted grade, interview panel grade, and overall grade, and then lays out requirements for agency hiring processes. So this one passed the Senate 16-10 and has passed the House Committee 4-3. So these are all the bills that are moving still, and I will have another update at our next board meeting, so hopefully we'll get more of a feel of where these end up. That's all I have, and I'm open for any questions that you may have.
On that last one, is there anything driving that? I mean, most agencies have a process already defined, and HR is pretty involved in things. Is there something that we're aware of?
Not that I know of. The governor's office is tracking this also because it applies to all agencies, but there has not been like, this is why this has come up or anything like that. Not that I'm aware of. It may be, because this is an election year too, it may be a constituent or brought it up, or someone brought it up, maybe in someone's district and they
Someone can't get a job.
maybe.
Change the rules. Get hired over there. Thank you very much, Brittany. Any questions?
Good job, Brittany.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next up, item number 7, Mr. Brock.
I'm sorry, I need to get to work.
Budget
All right,
highlights.
we'll take a break.
Financial.
I need to get to work.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bob,
you all.
please,
Leaves the budget guy.
please reach out.
I will. I get it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
See you on Shaw View.
Anytime you go out.
Usually early morning, especially earlier now than ever.
It's gonna be a spring solstice tomorrow. It's March 20th.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin, you know how to clear a room.
I'm a pretty nasty guy, so I paid these two to stay up here. I threatened them actually. We did want to, although the legislature's been in session for a couple months now, we like to give you a brief overview of what was included in the governor's executive budget proposal for state parks. So this is a modest piece of what we had actually proposed, but included in the executive budget was $924,000 for 11 additional FTEs. That's about a third of what we had asked for. We feel confident we have the funding to take care of a lot of the projects and the staffing that would be helpful for us, given the fee increase that's being successful in raising the additional revenue that we need for that. Also included in the executive budget was $72,000 from SPURF for law enforcement training. The thought is that some portion of those additional 11 FTEs may be used to help grow the law enforcement program. I know that our Assistant Director of Operations, Mark Weiss, and the Executive Director have been having discussions about implementing some growth in our law enforcement officers. And then of course the $1 million from general fund for the heritage, and annually we get an increase or an additional appropriation for major maintenance. This is really driven by a formula based on the number of facilities we have, the value, age, and so forth from DOA. But the appropriation this year for major maintenance will be just over $3.5 million. And then finally, there were several different capital projects that were submitted, but only one was selected. One of them is the $200,000 for land shift and monitoring plan at the Tonto Natural Bridge State Park. In the past, there were some concerns about some of the shifting rocks at the higher levels there, and so there's a project there now to monitor that. Any questions about the executive budget?
So
It's on the way.
this represents about a third of what was proposed.
Well, about a third of the FTEs. We had proposed 31 FTEs and 11 came through. I know that there were probably 5 different capital projects, is that right, Tom? That we proposed, and one of them were included. We did follow up and provide additional information on a number of those capital projects, but so yes, in the end, this was kind of a modest selection of the different resources that we were hoping that we might be able to include.
But all funded through SPURF.
All funded through SPURF, yes, except for the Heritage Fund up there, correct.
So the administrative office is saying that while SPURF can fund these things, you can only employ a third of what you're asking for.
Correct.
Seems random.
Well, it's
Is that-
it's not very much money. What can you do for $3 million these days?
And then we'll touch on our overall fee increase success, but it will generate close to $6 million annually more. 31 FTEs would be about $3 million, as Member Palmer pointed out.
Thank you.
But we will be grateful if we're successful in getting this through. It will be a help for sure. Just to touch again on the fee increase and the impact of what we're seeing there. Our forecast on the top here, you're seeing starting in Q4 last year, so last fiscal year, seeing April, May, June, and then Q1, 2, and 3 to date. So this is through February. You can see the actual dollar amounts between $7 million and just under $6 million a quarter of actual revenue. The bottom half of this graph shows you the actual dollar value of the year-over-year increase and the percentage increase that represents. So Q4 of last year, which is really not anywhere close to steady state or necessarily Q1, but we were seeing a 20% increase, 23% in Q1 this fiscal year, 27% in Q2, and 24% Q3 to date. So we have targeted in our forecast about 25% increase, and we believe that given a steady state that's what we're going to see here. The last half of our fiscal year, every year from January, February, March into April and early May, those are the peak season for revenue generation for us. And just to bring to mind also that our revenue is recognized on a cash basis. So our day use, our visitors are paying the cash as they come in, and then the cash that we're receiving from reservations for camping. And those reservations for camping typically are on an average of 6 months in advance of when people will actually come. So there's not a direct correlation to the weather, so forth for camping as there is for the day use. But this second half of the year represents, in Q3 alone, we'll see almost a third of the revenue for the entire year, and then another 25-26% in the last quarter of the year, where we only see about 20% of the revenue in Q1 and Q2 each year. So we're going to see that growth continue as we go out and fill out the rest of the fiscal year. And then lastly, just an overview. We call this our dashboard that we circulate to the executive team every month. But you can see on the top our SPRF revenue and expenditures, and also our fund balance. Again, that $17.5 million represents about a 25% increase from the $14 million that we had in the prior year for the same period through the month of February. And then the tornado chart in the middle shows you that we're favorable in our expenditures right now, and SPRF around $13 million of actual expenditures versus a budget of 13.7. And then on the right, you can see our fund balance at 35.9 million. All but 4 million of that are committed on a prorated basis. And just to be clear also, because we have this conversation with the governor's office occasionally, but we prorate the commitment that we have from our capital projects. Our capital projects on average are drawing cash to pay expenditures over generally a 3-year period. So for most of our capital projects, the commitment level is going to be about a third of that. If you took all of our capital projects, it would in fact consume all of the cash that we have in there right now. But then on the bottom, we have our SLIF. You can see that SLIF revenue is at 6.4 million, just about, just a hair above where we were in the prior year, just a tenth of a percentage point below plan. I think we rounded up when we did the plan. SLIF revenue, again, about 95% of that is generated through fuel tax. And it's based on volume of fuel sold, not the price. So you're not going to see a spike up because our cost per barrel of oil is skyrocketing. Again, expenditures are favorable at 4.9 on both the actual and the planned basis. And finally, the SLIF fund overall, again, is in very good health, 22.7 million, and about 9 million of that is uncommitted. Only a small portion of SLIF commitments are for CIP. The majority of it is for the operating budget that we have out there. Any questions on financial stuff?
Very good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? All right. It means a solid presentation, Mr. Brock, when there's no questions, especially in finance. Well done. Let's move on to number 8, the Arizona State Parks and Trails Deferred Maintenance and Development Services. Mr. Kometz on this one. Thank you, sir.
Hello, my name's Tom Kometz, Chief of Development for Parks. I oversee the capital improvements for the state park system. And today we're going to go over the capital improvement projects and mostly the prioritization of how we prioritize our projects and where we get to some of the funding that Kevin talked about. If the chairman is okay with it, I do have a lot of photos in the slides. I can quickly go through and kind of present those just to show you some stuff that we've done as we went through. So if you look off to your left, that is Buckskin Mountain boat ramp. The ones off to the left are prior to us doing the work. You can see the cracking in it, the hole. That boat ramp was shut down for several months because it was unusable due to that. The 2 slides over to the right are the construction that we are doing. And the furthest one to the right, and Director Broscheid will have a better presentation of this with some video on it, of how we got the boat ramp in the water and stuff. This project is about 95% complete right now. And the boat ramp is open to the public and to boat users right now. Just to remind you that we are part of the ADOA building system inventory. As of 2025, which is the latest building system inventory, we have over 1,200 structures within our facilities. that include and add up to over 77,000 square feet for all of our structures. And that does not include any of the supporting infrastructure as far as roads, sidewalks, paths, trails, water lines, boat ramps, docks, any of that stuff. Picture again to the left is Alamo Contact Station. That was prior to our work. We went through and redid an ADA fully compliant front deck to it. We put canopy over the front entry and the ice machines, and we did some repainting and some other inventories there. So this is some of the stuff that we've done with our capital improvements and some of our deferred maintenance or major maintenance funds that Kevin was talking about, a part of that $3.5 million. What is deferred maintenance? Deferred maintenance is basically a backlog of our maintenance. It's due to either assets, infrastructure, or delays in scheduling, usually due to limited resources. These projects are all projects that have not been done yet and are currently still unfunded. The one at the top right is at Cattail Cove. It is some of the boat dock and the jetty that goes out that's getting undermined. The one down below that is an ADA shower up at Pool Hollow. And you can see we got mold issues, some damage there. The other two towards the center are Fort Verde, and that's some of the adobe and the cracking of the wall systems there at Fort Verde. And then the one to the far left, I believe, is at Oracle. So major maintenance is broken up into really 10 different categories, and this is set by the state and ADOA. You can see the categories here. What is not eligible for major maintenance is item number 7, the land acquisitions, and item number 10, any new construction is not eligible for major maintenance work. So major maintenance funds, we at Parks call it major maintenance funds because we are self-funding it with the SPUR funds. If this was going through other state agencies, it's called building renewal and goes through the ADOA building renewal system in the legislature. And those have set criteria of what you can use funds for and what you can't. And it has to be an existing infrastructure that's already in place that we just need to be able to provide improvements to prolong its life cycle. The two pictures, those are up at Slide Rock. Those are restrooms. The one to the left again is the floor deteriorating, the painting and epoxy coming off. That is a health code violation. We have recently redone that floor, did the epoxy flooring, and if you could see in the background there, the old flooring had the rubber-based molding, which was catching a lot of bacteria and creating mold. We've run the epoxy up, so it makes it a lot easier and more convenient for cleaning and stuff. So again, these are some of the improvements we're using and doing with our major maintenance funds.
Mr. Chairman, just out of curiosity, maybe Kevin would have commented, are all the federal rescue funds gone?
We are wrapping up, we have about 10 to 30,000 in our ARPA funds for the ADA compliance stuff.
Okay.
So we are wrapping those up, we should be done within the next couple months. The ARPA funds that we are using for the water and wastewater systems that are run through ADOA and we coordinate with them, they have an additional 6 months, so they'll be going through the rest of the calendar year. I would say probably 90% of those projects are either wrapped up or getting close to wrapping up. There's a couple that are still ongoing and we're just kind of getting started because they were late. And just to give everyone an idea, we got about $100 million in ARPA funds for our water wastewater. So that's been a great improvement to all of our facilities as far as the water wastewater goes.
But it sounds like this coming year, all of that will probably.
That will all be gone and there is no additional funds coming that we see in the future for it.
Okay, thank you.
So The way projects are proposed here at Parks is the park manager generates those projects. We have what we call a CIP proposed project list. They enter it into a form, it goes into a spreadsheet database, and then we'll kind of go through how that works. These 3 photos are Fort Verde. I do not have a prior photo for this, but it was a wood shingle structure. Those shingles were just with light winds peeling off and everything. The dry Arizona desert, it's not real good for wood shingles. We get a lot of cupping, a lot of drying. We were only getting about 5 years, maybe 8 years out of a wood shingle. This particular project we did use at San Rafael. It's a metal shingle that very closely mirrors a wood shake. And we got this all approved through SHPO, did several studies on the different ones. So we did it at San Rafael. It worked really good. It looks great from a distance. Most of the time you can't tell it's not wood. We did all 4 historical structures at Fort Verde with this. And including the small outhouse you can see at the top. So everything out there kind of looks the same, and we did them all. Again, this is all done with the major maintenance.
And it's what, a 50-year at least?
This should be a over 50-year material that'll last.
You probably won't be around to see.
So,
Thanks.
More hot takes by
Thanks for reminding me of that.
That was a pleasant thought.
She'll sit in the chair.
So this is a dashboard of our proposed projects request list. Again, the park managers enter these, and I'll go through that order after this. But you can see we have over 175 submittals from the park managers. That total in this estimate is probably low because some of the cost estimates are older. Over $118 million in our proposed backlog. The majority of that is deferred maintenance. Some of this is new construction, just so you're aware of that. We look at it in several different ways. To the far right, you can see it by park and how many projects the park has put in the total. We also, and for the most part, look at it by the project category at the bottom. Again, those mirror with the ones I was talking about with ADOA. And then we also look at them as far as what the park priority is and how quick or how much they prioritized it. So that's the table you see on the top.
What does blue sky mean?
Blue sky is if money was not an object, we just had all the money we could ever do with.
Unicorn.
It's kind of a wish list, so that's what we call the blue sky.
Perfect. I'm gonna adopt that at home. Look out, Joe.
So once those 118 projects are submitted, and that is a revolving spreadsheet, so as projects are completed that I showed you, we do take those off the list, but park managers are always adding new projects, so it's an ongoing process. We do have what we call a prioritization team. That includes myself, the chief of operations, George, and also the 3 regional managers. We get together periodically. We evaluate each one of those projects, and the evaluation criteria is set by park visitation, park priority, and that's the park manager's priority, the category type that I discussed, the estimated cost and source. And you may ask, well, why is that a weighted category? Again, some of those estimates are old. Some of them were done, a couple old ones, they put in $1 because they didn't know what it was. So we kind of got to look at that estimate and see where it is, and we try to adjust those. The prioritization team also looks at those on a statewide basis. So not just from that park, but over the whole state of what's that priority statewide. So that's a category we look at. We look at asset revenue. Is it going to increase, neutral, or reduce? And there's 5 levels in there of what this project would have as far as an asset revenue generating, and then also a financial liability. Is it gonna have long-term costs, O&M costs, other financial implications that will cost something rather than bringing revenue? We look at it from a regulatory, is it a law, is it permit required, is there an agreement, policy, or is it just something we would like to do from an operational standpoint? And then we also like to look at how is it, to our mission objective, is where we're at with that and what its priority. Those are all put into a kind of a numerical based on those selections, and then we kind of rank the projects numerically and what goes through there. And we've been real good with the team of trying to keep those equally across the board. Each one of these, as it says down there at the bottom, is not equally ranked. Visitation is very low ranked, but we do want to have some of that visitation in there. The estimate and cost is very low ranked, so we have that in there. Again, this is another roofing project. The top left that you see, this is at Reardon Mansion in Flagstaff. You can see in this one the cupping and the curling of the wood shake roof. The bottom is, this project is still in progress, but we use that same Decra wood shake product there. Again, got it through SHPO. The roofing is done there. We're still doing some siding, some other rock pointing and stuff at that project. And again, these are all through our major maintenance funds. Steps for a project process and the timing. So again, project managers put that in. That's an ongoing throughout the year. The prioritization team meets. Last year we met 3 times because as some funds become available or projects we have some funds that we can do additional projects, we'll meet and re-rank those. We usually always meet around this March, April time, because if you look down at item number 4, in April or May is when our CIP budget is due to ADOA, and we're always looking at the next current year, budget year, and 2 years after that. So in April, we'll be looking at 28, and then we're also looking at 29 and 30 as far as projecting out. So we have to submit that in April and May, and ADOA sets that deadline and that time frame. The CIP review team, and this is a statewide team, so it includes Parks, ADOA, the Governor's Office of Strategic Planning, the Legislative, JLBC, and Risk Management all meet. We review our projects, we go through them. They ask any questions they have, and then once that's done, ADOA kind of rolls that up and presents it to the Governor's Office in the Governor's budget. OSPB then takes it, and that's where Kevin was talking about in our last 27. We had put in for, I believe it was 5 or 6 projects. We got one of our CIP projects. Luckily, they did give us all of our major maintenance. So although it is small, the 3.5 million against the 118, it does get us moving and trying to get some of those done that you can see. Once the Governor's Office does their portion between August and December, it's presented to the legislative, and this kind of gets into Brittany's in January. It goes through that legislative process from January to June. Once it's appropriated, usually somewhere in May to the end of June, the governor would sign it. Once that's all signed, we still have to take our projects that have been approved in the budget back to JCCR committee to get review on all of our projects prior to us being able to spend anything. That legislative committee only meets when they have enough schedule. So sometimes we'll be next month on the schedule. Sometimes this last year, we still haven't gotten our 26 major maintenance approved. They've had 2 board meetings and they pulled us from one of them, and we're still waiting on our other one. So we're 9 months without being able to spend our 26 major maintenance money. Once they give us favorable review, then we can start releasing our project and start the project. So it is a very lengthy process, sometimes over many years, especially between starting the budget to actually finishing. But that's a quick overview of the steps and stuff we have to go through for our funding.
Mr. Chairman, just on that last note, on the JCCR review and the backlog, just of their 9 months, as you mentioned, is there any way to complain, appeal? I mean, is this through us?
I'll let Richie try that.
We complain all the time.
I mean, how about
Is it
shutting down
staffed
some
really?
facilities and saying we can't continue to open these anymore?
Call your legislator.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just,
It's really at the behest of the chair, and we're not the only state agency that's sort of getting denied an opportunity to present. So we don't know what's going on, but we're working with the governor's office to lean on them to get these projects going.
Is it a legislative group?
Yeah, it's all legislative.
All
So
legislative.
what's it called?
It's the Joint Committee of
Capital
Capital Review.
review.
They review all capital projects for state agencies.
David Livingston's.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's usually the budget folks on that, right?
And after the budget passes, as he was mentioning, then we would have to go into JCCR review for us to be able to do anything.
just curious, who are the state agencies that do get the attention?
Universities.
Every.
That's understandable.
Yeah, okay.
Not that we're county, right?
Sorry.
But look at university budgets versus state park budgets.
Yeah.
We're hundreds of millions versus.
Every state agency has to go back through that committee, it's not just parks. The first time for our 26 money, there was probably 6 agencies that didn't get reviewed. Of the ones that did get reviewed, Brittany and I were sitting in down there. I believe 3 of them got their budget either cut in half at that point, or were only authorized, well, I shouldn't say got cut in half, they were only authorized to spend about half of their budget. And then 1 or 2 other ones, I believe, had to come back and get rescheduled, which was where we were. And then the second time we went back, by the time it got through the governor's office and everything else, it was late for their submittal time, but it was prior to the meeting, but they didn't review ours, so.
So we have to.
They gave us, I think, 8 hours notice to get it turned in, and it just didn't happen.
So they're having another one that I know of in April. They haven't scheduled a specific date, but they said that we will be on that agenda in April. So I'm working on them. I'm bugging them probably every week now.
Good, thank you.
So with that, I'm at the end of our thing. This picture, and I believe Director Rochide will probably have one in his wrap up too. But for those that don't know, this is Upper Cattail, just opened last month. We're still working through some of the bugs of the water and wastewater plant. At this one, we opened up, I believe, 60 more campsites. It's beautiful views from up there. This is a lot of the ARPA money for those water wastewater systems. We completely did the water wastewater system for both Upper and Lower Cattail. And like I said, it just opened and just a beautiful area, so. This was done with ARPA funds. Or at least the water wastewater portion. The campground and stuff was done probably 8 years ago, 5 years ago.
That's great. Tom, thank you. Any questions? Terry?
Do our local parks, friends groups and support groups and those folks that work at the individual parks, do they get involved with capital fundraising efforts? You know, I know we put out a donation box, but people are more giving when they know specifically what money would be used for. And so do we put up a sign and a thermometer that says, you know, we're raising money for this, or a peak or something, and promote better donations from our people?
there's probably other people in the room that could answer this better than I can, but yes, there is friends groups, and yes, they do raise money, and some of that money is then donated, and we apply it to, you know, what they request. There is also the donation fund and one of the newer ones in the Roundup fund. So all that kind of gets into the bigger pot of money that we then try to divvy up. So one of the other things I did talk or failed to mention and didn't have it in the PowerPoint is once we kind of get that prioritization, we always do work really closely with Kevin's group as to how much money we have. So you could see we got much more project needs than we do funds. So we always work very closely with his group as how much money do we have. We're usually always looking at cash flow and you know, when that's gonna come in. So we work closely with his group to make sure we don't overextend our SPURF funds and stuff. But again, it goes through the legislative processes. Do they allow us to spend what we request?
But to your point, Terry, that our whole entire philanthropic strategy absolutely includes things like small projects, donations, all the way up to, you know, really, really big donors. And so, you know, as you know, Deputy Director Weber is kind of leading that charge for the agency, and that it is part of our overall strategy once we get those ducks in a row. A lot of parks, county, city, and state utilize philanthropic donations a lot more than we do, and so we're gonna copycat.
Try to.
So that's a big number that Tom's got to address, and we're not gonna get there from here with this funding.
Good report.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Yes,
you.
that was excellent. All right, item E, future agenda items. Board members have any future interests? Do we have anything that was on our on the roster from previous?
I don't think so. I think we've been
Yeah.
rotating.
Next month we'll be in Tuba.
We have another $9 million ready. All right, item F, Executive Director's Report on Current Events.
Thank you, Chairman and board members. We've got a really lot of pictures that we want to share with you because it's been a few months since we've seen you. First day hikes, January 1. You know, we always do this every year, and every year it's a huge success. Again, this year weather was a little but we had more than 350 people participated in hikes at 17 parks. So that's up from the previous year, and every year it seems to really grow. More parks are getting involved. It's not everybody, but we're also working with counties and other cities and others, public lands, land managers, that we can try to get them out. But it's how do we capture that data, and then, as you know, we roll it up nationwide. So anyway, another big success. Hopefully this will continue on and well into the future. And you know, our Outdoors 250, we tacked on our Passport 250 as a way to, you know, capitalize on America 250 and talk about getting outdoors and the passports and visiting, you know, our parks, checking your passport and things like that. But our team has done a great job with the toolkit. If you go onto the website, you can look, and press releases. We've got 1,200 people registered today, and it's only been a few months now, and it's another one that keeps gaining momentum. But we're really trying to capitalize on America's 250, and as you all know, the outdoors is a huge part of America that a lot of countries around the world do not have what we have. And so we're definitely tagging on, and our folks are being real creative in utilizing that. And so the events continue through July 4th. So anyway, we hope that we're going to probably see a lot more registrations there. 9 of our parks were selected as the Passport 250 sites. And that's out of 250 across the entire state, not just in our state parks. So they're all capitalizing. We have a good smattering on there. This is what Tom mentioned, he had an aerial, better view, he has better technology than I do. But we got to go attend, a lot of us drove up and got to attend the Cattail Cove opening. It was sort of a ribbon cutting with the Lake Havasu Area Chamber of Commerce, as well as the construction companies. There were several companies that were involved. It was sort of like an open house. This is the most gorgeous sight you will ever see along the Colorado River. You stand out there and you look at not just how it was built, but the view is incredible. There is very little across the river in the California side, where just some minor things, but it's a beautiful view. It's wonderfully done. It's state of the art, and the wastewater treatment system that Tom kind of glossed over could run a small city. That's how I was blown away at what the capacity of this can do. But our team, Brian Gaiman's our park manager, said since we've opened, it's been full every day.
Wow.
And
Who's the architect?
Kimley Horn was the engineer of record for both the infrastructure and the water wastewater system.
Nice.
it's a remarkable, if you can, we do a board meeting not in the summer up there.
But we had so much fun.
Yeah, just really, really neat. Kudos to everybody that worked a long time. And when I got here, this is one of those projects that was on the chopping block because it had sat. And there was problems, and then COVID hit, supply chain issues. And to get this thing off the list is a feat of strength and will by our team, and really just a fantastic job. So it is really great to go up and attend
Total
that.
flip on the revenue potential too, right?
Huge.
Changes things.
Huge.
What, Mr. Chairman, not having to wait for another board meeting, could we do a day trip to just
Anytime
go
you
over
want,
there?
yeah.
And, we post it as just a tour, not any business or anything, but, I would be up for that if we could all take a little tour of it. That'd be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Before the hot weather comes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a little warm out there, but really, it's worth the trip. And then while you're up there, there's so many other new projects to see since the last time we went up. Our Ranger 101 continued. There's our wonderful Pam far to the right. She goes to all of these, and this is for our new Rangers, new employees, central office or out in the field, in our leadership, and it's a good way for us to get them while they're young, as they say, and teach them critical skills for success. What are ideas, and who networking within our own agency. It's just a huge success. Everybody loves it. A lot of new faces are rolling into our agency, and I think it's just a real great way to introduce them to some of the longer tenured park managers, park rangers, and share. And some of these are coming from other states, they're sharing ideas, so really a great program. We're gonna keep going with that.
Is that a multi-day?
Yeah, it's like 3.
It's 2 days.
Two.
2 days, 2 full days. That's great.
Off-site, so it's really, really neat. Pam gets to go camping, which she loves. We continue our marketing team and our, if you notice, it's not our marketing team that's getting interviewed. These are our park rangers. And some of these are incredible in front of a camera. Not shy at all. Maybe it's all the social media, TikTok and Instagram that's honed their skills. But we've had Lost Dutchman, Picacho, Catalina, front and center in being interviewed for the program. It's highlighting outdoor areas, and we were already getting tagged for more than most in the media to talk about places to go and things to see. And our team's doing a great job with that, and we love good press, and so we jump on it every time we can. Tom mentioned it a little bit in passing, and I'll elaborate on it. But on February 11th, and this came from internal. Somebody in our parks to talk about what you do if you've ever been to Lake Cabela's or you wanna go, or the grocery store will say, would you wanna round up for this? To get to your point, Terry, about how we can raise more money, and the roundup, when they go into our park stores, or their total purchase, round it up to the nearest dollar. And it was something that just, we call it, it's our innovation hub. It's anybody can submit an idea. Every idea is good, it's just, then we review it and implement. This one was implemented by a ranger at Red Rock. Brought it up. Just since February 11th, we generated $5,000.
Wow.
And it was 575 transactions. So small, but it adds up. And so.
Is that just at Red Rock or is that across the?
That was across
the, but as the word starts getting out and we have the capabilities and the technology, it's gonna continue to grow, and hopefully we'll start seeing a lot more money rolling in, just for people rounding up 12 cents.
Let them give. That's really all it is, let them give. We did the
Absolutely.
same thing at our aquatics facilities and saw the same thing in the summer, $5,000. People are like, it's only $1 to get in? Oh, here's another one.
Right. So it's a really great idea, and it was, I think, fairly simple to implement. But like you said, it's a good way for people to give. I mean, when I go to Cabela's, I'm always rounding up. Particularly, you know, as a consumer like you all, I'm sure, well, where's the money going? What's it going to?
Yeah.
And so now if they know it, hey, this is gonna go to the parks, absolutely. So about 600 people are taking advantage of that. You'll remember last year, we got the appropriation to basically double the family campout program. We are fully staffed, not just in our program and our people, but also attendees. It's, again, high demand. We had campouts at Alamo, that was in March. Catalina was March 14th and 15th. And we have 3 other sold out events coming up. River Island and Lyman Lake campouts are in May. So we're doubling our campouts and we're still seeing the demand. So we hope this program, as you all know and agree, is very beneficial. And we hope that just continues on well into the future. Here's the video. I'll just shut up and let you watch it. This is amazing. Wondered how they poured concrete underwater. This is how they do it. That's Tom Kometz on the bulldozer there.
He gets more excited.
Come on. Sorry, guys.
Look at all the supervisors. Here it goes. Isn't that cool?
That's very cool.
It's like what they're doing with real leveling concrete now. Blown up there.
You slam it into the water, but to have, like Tom showed the pre-picture, it wasn't even usable. And when you lose a boat ramp on the Colorado River in that area, you can feel it. The demand goes to everywhere else, and now to have this back in the water, it's going to be really good. It was closed in March of 2024, and the nearest travel was River Island, so you had to pack your boat up and launch at River Island. That old ramp was from the 70s, and it was back up and running less than a year, and improved location, of course, but a lot of coordination and money to get that thing into the water. But it's going to be heavily used. There's no doubt about it.
How thick is it?
I believe that was either 8 or 12 inches thick. And we, I don't mean to steal Bob's thunder, we employed this method for putting that in as opposed to a cofferdam. Some other cofferdams on the river, especially with the river flow. We've had the cofferdams get washed out or blown out, and almost potentially, not we, parks within the state, almost lost a couple lives with it. So we didn't want to go through that experience. This isn't new technology. It's been used around the country before. So we got with our consultant and Telus, and we said, no, we're not doing cofferdams. We don't want to take the risk. And we're doing this method, and it turned out great. There was a lot of preparation prior to that just getting pushed in, but it makes it a lot easier, a lot simpler. And overall, it was also less costly because we were able to do everything on dry ground and then push it in.
So it's like a tilt up, just to scoot over.
Push in, yeah.
Thanks, Tom. We're continuing on. Again, this is our second round now for we call our fireside chats for our leadership and our team that went through the Emerging Leaders Program. We give them assignments. We talk, some of the publications that may be out there, give them ideas, hear some feedback, how their experience is going. That was March 12th last week down at Picacho. I think that was 90s, but the sunset was gorgeous. But you can see Sarah, we call her Professor because she was running the whole show, did a great job too. About getting people to start, get away from your job and start thinking about the agency, where you fit in, where you think we should go. So this is a good opportunity for everybody to let their hair down and just have open and honest discussions. And we continue, we have 2 more scheduled too. So anyway, continuing on with the leadership development program that we have. And so looking ahead, there's a couple of things just to put on your radar. We have a new beer. This is at the top of the list for you, Chair. Windsor Beach Blonde. It's the release at Lake Havasu State Park. After the shoreline cleanup, then the release, then drink the beer. We're going to do it differently. Don't drink beer, then go clean up. March 28th. This is with Historic Brewing and College Street Brewing, so it's kind of a joint effort. But I'm looking forward to that one. That's another beer that's going to come out. We're continuing again this year I think this is our second year, right? SECC, the State Employee Charitable Campaign. This is a way for state employees to go out and do events, raise money, and then it goes to already the list of the state employee charitable campaigns that are listed that you can either donate through your paycheck or you can do these fundraising events. And so we're doing it for hiking, Rockin' River Ranch, Fool Hollow, Catskill Cove, and Oracle, and that's on March 28th. So it's a good way to generate some revenue and get state employees out. I think we had a bunch from ADOT last year, I think, and so.
We had 151 employees last year, and so we're hoping to beat that number this year.
151, so that's cool. There's a San Rafael, Arizona 250 event on April 11th. We'll get the ranch house tours. We'll see if former member Buchanan will be there. Museum displays, important bird area dedication down there, guided bird walks, and a food truck is going to drive that road all the way in to get food. So we're doing a social media retreat for rangers, April 14th and 15th, to help them talk about, train them, have discussions, and basically engage them what their role is in the park. It's not just to help those, but also to be that face. If you're going to do social media, do's and don'ts, we try to get ahead of that a little bit. So anyway, it's a good way to get them more engaged, and they're really good at what they do, but we just want to make sure we're all on the same page with that. And then the last thing, to give you an update, we participated in a committee hearing, I think about a month and a half ago, on the OHV Legislative Committee. And we have one coming up, the next one's coming up, I think, on Monday. At least it's scheduled for this coming Monday. And we're talking about, we gave a really good presentation about all the things that we've done, this board has done, from grants to recipients to law enforcement information that we're getting back now, some of the challenges that we're seeing, and we'll also listen to the rest of the community. So kind of out of the blue, we got a sort of a motion, I guess, or direction to, we want to know what is the extent of OHV impacts in the state of Arizona? And it was voted on and passed, and so it's a way to really shore up the mitigation side. If we're gonna know how to start addressing it, we need to know the extent of the impact. Well, that's a huge ask. So we've been talking a little bit about, well, we don't have the personnel to go out and assess impacts. I mean, even if we just worked with the state land department, that would be a big burden on our staff and their staff to try to quantify and then put a number on what we're talking about. So we're gonna talk internally, and so in the future, we might see if it's legal, if we can do this, is to submit our own OHV grant to basically contract somebody to go out and do this, if it's like a university or consultant.
There's some way you could just do satellite imagery and give you you would be able to visually see that impact of wildcat trailing.
You could.
Like that would be one start. And
Would be
probably
a
not
great
that
start.
expensive, like out of ASU would seem to make sense.
Oh, no, it would, and Mr. Chairman, you have the inventory of the grants you've already administered in terms of mitigation on OHV destruction and law enforcement with that. So at least you'd have some dollar amounts of what you've already spent so far in that area.
Yeah, it depends on, I guess, how narrow, how big. They didn't really specify, but I think we're just starting to talk internally after we shut our mouths, they were open so wide. But how can we go about this? And so, yeah, we might, we're gonna sit down internally, so in a few months or so, we'll bring up a OHV grant. But I just wanted to get this on your radar, just so you know, the assignments keep coming. And the committee, I think it could be good, but it's also keep the expectations manageable on this because.
Again, Mr. Chairman, Bob, my priority would be environmental health. I mean, those are the two areas, what it's doing to the property and then all the dust and all the things that people are really concerned with. Those to me would be the best focus. You could always do economic, but what's that gonna do?
It's environmental, it's the
Yeah,
driver.
it's environmental health.
It's like tiered.
Yeah.
Particularly public health, I think that would be
Yeah.
good.
Well, and some of the teaser of some of the data that NINA put together, that as you know, when we do a law enforcement grant, they report back citations, warnings, et cetera. Almost 70% of the citations were for natural resource damage.
Yeah.
So it's a big number. I didn't think it would lead to a statewide environmental assessment.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we'll do the best that we can.
I'll be interested to see what another 1,000 more pounds does on our trails.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my report.
Mr. Chairman, just a question. Obviously, the terrible, unconscionable news that came out regarding the Cesar Chavez naming relationship, and of course, the governor was right up front right away in saying that they're no longer the holiday. Do we have any of our facilities at all named after Chavez? Trails, hikes, anything?
I don't think so.
I was just gonna mention that if that is, we would need as a board or whatever to say, boom, change it overnight. I mean, whatever you would need to do, so I don't, just thought I'd throw it out.
No, we don't.
The only one is McFarland.
I mean, Phoenix
Yeah.
does, Phoenix does.
Oh, sure they do.
School, parks,
Yeah.
plazas,
Yeah.
everything, so.
Yeah, I don't think so, but we should check on it.
Okay.
We'll double check,
Yeah.
but off the top of my head, I don't think so.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Item G, current events from the board.
I just have one. I was coming down the hill on Tuesday about 1:30 and there were ambulances at the trailhead. And I'm wondering, when do we close because of heat and say, no, you cannot? Cause they're really dumb hikers. I mean, I know the rangers are, you cannot go on that trail without a bottle of water in your hand. You know, I mean, they're just, I've been on it and they come down, I'm like, here, take my bottle, I have an extra one. I mean, they're coming up with nothing.
We go by the heat advisories. If they're issued, we follow them. And, you know, before it was more of a guideline or we recommend, now it's no, get off. Even if you go if the heat warning takes effect, let's say 9 in the morning, and you're starting Lost Dutchman, you need to be back by that heat warning. And so we've shut trails down.
Yeah.
What temperature is the heat warning?
110.
Yeah, I think it's 110.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I know in Phoenix it's 110.
Yeah, that's the one we're going by.
Yeah.
We can hardly hit 110 up there.
Yep, that's very current, Terry. It's getting hot.
Alright.
Well done.
Not up
And with that call to the public, everybody left, right, we shall adjourn. Thank you all.
Thank
Good
you.
meeting.
Good meeting, yeah.
This is actually a very.
Yeah, yeah.